trying out our new Vuz tent. It's in the same category as the Red Verse, with the where you rig up the outer fly shell, if you will. The tent hangs on the inside, and it's got this huge vestibule here where you could park a motorcycle, or you can cook and live and eat and stay relatively dry. Discovered this morning that the two sides were actually touching the inner tent, and that's not so good, because you can have water transfer that way. So we added some extra guy lines this morning, and that still didn't pull the fly out far enough from the tent. So we've actually taken a couple of the toggles that hold the inner tent to the outer fly, and we've detached those. I think we've done 2 on either side. And that's allowed the inner walls to droop in just a hair, combined with the guy lines, which will give us that gap. Theoretically, if we had some sticks or some poles where we could have the guy lines come out horizontally and then drop down to the pegs, that would allow us to get more of a gap. But we don't have that here, and I don't want to run the guy lines out 10 feet from the tent. They're already a tripping hazard, and I don't want to make them more of a tripping hazard.
Good idea.
We'll see. I mean, hopefully it doesn't rain.
It's super roomy in the tent. This is one of the biggest tents I think we've ever camped with, like motorcycle camping, and lots of room for our sleeping mats, and then some. So I was actually able to get up this morning and do some exercising, and not have to move anything. It was nice. Yeah.
We've got Chad Christensen from Be Gone for Good camping next to us here, and he was sharing his experience where he and a couple other guys were camping, and they had 3 tents of this style side by side, including this one and the Red Verse one. And the general consensus was that the Vuz tent was the best value for dollar. So we'll see. The last night was our first night actually camping with it, and only the second time setting it up. We did a test setup last week. We'll see what we think by the end of the trip.
We will. We'll let you know.
Well, good morning. It's Saturday morning here at Overland Expo, and it rained last night, and it was still raining this morning. Fortunately, it's been a very light rain.
And now it's stopped.
And now it's stopped. The tent has held up, I suppose, in that we didn't get wet last night, which is good. We still have a couple of those toggles dropped in, so that way where it was touching yesterday morning, it's not touching now. So that's good. That may just be the way we set it up, and I could have fiddled a bit more with the guy lines or the pegs or something. But we remain comfortable. The interior of the vestibule here has got a lot of condensation. There's 2 vents up here and here, and there's 2 vents at the back end of the tent.
In the top corners of the tent.
The top corners, yeah. I'm not sure how they're working. They're working given the amount of condensation we have in here. But as long as you don't touch the tent fly walls, you're fine. And yeah, so there we go.
Yeah.
All right, well, here we are. It's Sunday morning at Overland Expo, and we survived another night. It didn't rain last night, which was really nice. Unfortunately, Angela's air mattress, which was a seemingly nice high-end air mattress from MAC, failed spectacularly. The glue or the adhesive or whatever that made up all the different cells let go one by one.
With a loud pop in the middle of the night, one at a time, like half an hour apart. Yeah, it was scary.
So in the end, it was nothing more than a great big bulbous, it looked like a big body pillow, and it was impossible to sleep on. So, so I ended up sleeping on the ground last night, which isn't the toughest thing I've ever had to do, thankfully. So I managed to get some sleep. As for the tent, you know, we love the fact that it's a large tent when it's set up. Definitely lots of room. We're eating outside today just cause, but certainly, as you've seen the previous 2 mornings, there's more than enough room to eat inside with all the extra space for the luggage and whatever we want to have distributed throughout there. One thing I have noticed that even though we've got it all zipped up during the day, there's a significant, moderate collection of small insects on the inside, especially up on the inside of the vestibule. In fairness, I haven't seen any in the tent itself. We've kept this tent zipped up.
Yeah.
So that is probably as much a function of the location as anything else. But still a bunch of condensation this morning. The venting through the fly isn't great. But I don't know, I've seen a tent where the venting is great. So there's that. So
For the temperature that we camped at, this was good. Like if it had been really hot, we might have been too hot in there and had to open up all the privacy doors.
That's a fair point. When we did our test setup, because this is the first time we're actually using the tent, when we did our test setup at home, it was a warm day. Warm, what, in the 80s? And partial sun. 85, partial sun. And we went into the tent just to check out the space, and it was hot in there. So, you know, I'm not sure how comfortable it would be to be in the tent if you're camping in a very hot location. So,
you just need to leave everything open, like the garage door and the other door, and just leave it yourself open to the mesh.
Yeah.
So there's a way around it, but
yeah, if you leave
the privacy.
Yeah, if you leave the vestibule door open at the other end, you still get a good amount of privacy because the door at the other end isn't full mesh. It's only mesh on the top portion.
Okay.
So you've got that. Plus, there's no way to give you any privacy between the vestibule and the tent. There's no flap that covers over the full mesh doors there. But if you're alone camping, then it certainly doesn't matter. so here we are. We're back from Overland Expo East 2021. And final thoughts on our Vuz Moto Tent. What'd you think?
It was actually very comfortable. Having a vestibule that size was so handy if you were going to, need a place to hang out if the weather was not great. You could actually fit a motorcycle in there. We didn't actually ride in there. We were going to, but the way we were set up, we couldn't. Lots of room to put luggage on one side, sit and have, the table. Well, you didn't have a table. Chairs for breakfast. Yeah, it was good. And it did rain on us.
Tons of space. Mm-hmm. But it comes at a cost. This is the tent rolled up.
Yeah. It makes a good backrest on the motorcycle. So, on the passenger seat, you put it behind you and, you've got something to lean on. But it's
14 pounds.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot on the bike.
Yep. Now, just looking at it, I haven't owned either the Lone Rider tent or the Red Verse tent, but looking at the numbers online, the numbers in terms of size and weight are all pretty similar. I think this one might come in a couple of pounds heavier, but it's also a lot cheaper. We bought this tent and it was $250, whereas the Red Verse Atacama is $600. If we got the smaller version, which is really only suitable for one person for sleeping, it's about $550.
Well, that won't do.
Of course not. And if we got the Lone Rider tent, it's $740
okay.
And a little bit smaller than this one.
Okay.
So it depends on what's important to you. Like I said, I'm not sure we're going to consider taking this one for our around the world trip because, frankly, it's gargantuan. But boy, is it comfortable. Almost 6 feet high.
I could pretty much, I'm 5'10". I could pretty much stand up in it, which was nice, not have to be bent over completely crawling into the entrance of your tent. And it has multiple doors, so you have a lot of options on getting in and out, which is nice.
We could have slept 3 people in that tent with room to spare. Probably could have slept 4 people in the tent.
With no gear.
In typical how you fit people in tent fashion.
Yeah.
And the vestibule was gargantuan. So very comfortable tent. If you're going somewhere and you're setting up camp for a few days, this size tent is awesome. And if you don't mind lugging around a tent this big, and I know a lot of people enjoy that, then for that, it's a great tent. And for $250, you could burn through 3 of these before you'd reach the cost of your Lone Rider. 2 of these and then some before you reach the cost of your Red Verse. I can't speak to the other ones for anything except the numbers I've seen online because I haven't used them. But I would say for what it is, it's a win.
Yeah, I think it was a good purchase. It was a good exploration of having a tent with a big vestibule that if you had to work on the motorcycle, you've got options. And as far as if you do end up buying this tent, there's a couple of things that you may or may not know right away. When we set it up, don't follow the directions. Don't follow the directions. They're translated from another language, I think. Set up this tent as you would normally set up your tent. Put your poles together, slide your poles through the sleeves. Do that first. Do not stake it first. The directions suggest you stake it down. Don't do that. The other little mildly negative thing was the stakes, what do you call them, tent pegs, are green, and we were on grass. So you're putting your green tent pegs into the grass, and they don't have hooks on the top. So maybe that's a new way of doing it. I guess a lot of the other tents are doing it that way as well. They're super light, though. They're super light aluminum tent pegs. But yeah, put your poles up, put the tent up first, then stake it.
Yeah. That
will save you some trouble. We were able to assemble it really fast.
Yeah, so Vuz, if you're watching, your guy lines and your pegs, don't make them green, for the love of it all.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. You can review this video and you can watch us set up the tent and tear down the tent. Took about 10 minutes each time.
Yeah.
Very easy. If you've ever set a tent up before, it's the same basic thing, except this one goes a lot easier with 2 people just because of the size. Okay. Happy camping, and we'll see you next time.